My name is Dustin Reichert. I'm a retired deputy sheriff from the Anoka County Sheriff's Office up in Andover, Minnesota.
457.
457.
140th lane, fly basic disturbing.
Adam 40 backing, Adam 57.
229.
This is how it starts. A police officer is shot. Suspect is dead.
So I cleared my traffic stop and headed that way. Just took me moments to get there, and nothing to see. I mean, one car in the driveway, no party. I mean, we could hear the music as we were walking up, but it wasn't certainly ear-splitting like originally described. We're on the right side of the duplex. There's a big picture window, and I'm looking in the picture window, and as she's knocking, I say, hey, I see a light on in the back right. Looks like a kitchen. I see some movement and shadow coming. All right, there's a male coming. Oh, male turned around, went back in the kitchen. She knocks a couple more times, and as he turns back around, he comes out, and this time he has a gun in his hand. So I kind of duck down. I'm like, oh, shit, he's got a... And then she yells out, gun. Nothing's going to happen. I mean, it's a loud music call. It's the Bee Gees. It's a Thursday night. It's full moonlit out. I mean, he can see us. We're fully uniformed, and we both went away from the driveway because we'd have to cover that past that picture window. We're yelling commands, still thinking it's not going to happen anyways, but we'll be prepared. We've got our guns out. He starts opening the door, and I'm a little surprised now. He's not following commands. We can assume now he's ready to hurt us, kill us even. So I take a big step away from Sam, my partner. As I took that step out of the yard, I realized I'm committed. There's nowhere to go. And I just have to move forward. You know, there's no thinking twice about it. And so that's what I did. So I panned a little bit more. I'm about 5 to 8 feet away from him. The door starts opening, and I can see a male in the doorway. Still thinking it's not going to happen. Sheriff's office, drop the gun. Sheriff's office, drop the gun. It's the police, drop the fucking gun. Figured that had to work. That had to get his attention. It didn't. He opened the door, I believe with his left hand, I don't know, but all of a sudden I see the gun exposed now. He's at an elevated position, yelling more commands, raises the gun to my chest. And now I've made the decision that I have no choice but to initiate deadly force in this point. I mean, he's pointing the gun at me. Now it's a race on who's gonna be able to shoot who first. So as I raise my gun up and make that decision, as I pull the trigger, he'd already had it pointed between my eyes, and that was the biggest damn gun I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. My gun goes off once. I pulled the trigger twice. Later, we can only assume that I pulled the trigger so fast that I didn't let it recharge, the trigger recharge, so I didn't pull my finger all the way back. Which is why, because there was no jam, there was no stovepipe or anything like that. No misfire, just it never went off twice. At that point, I had my flashlight and I start panning and running towards the driveway. I know there's a car in the driveway, so at least I have cover there. We've exchanged fire. Sam's off to my left, so I start running to that car trying to get cover, and I have a flashlight. And so I track my flashlight in that tactical way, trying to find him in the window. And I couldn't see him, but he could see me. And turns out he's a pretty good marksman himself. And he double tapped me, meaning pulled 2 quick successive shots in order to cause the most trauma, in order to stop the threat. I mean, we use the same technique. And he double tapped a running target and hit me with both shots. Wow. After receiving a lethal wound himself. Impressive.
Information for cars, officer down in Andover. 2118 140th lane, officer down, ambulance en route.
The first bullet hit me in my right arm, right in the upper arm, in my humerus, blew out half an inch of my humerus bone, blew out half of my bicep, blew out half of my tricep. It was a .45 caliber. As I thought to myself, oh my God, I just got shot. And as I was thinking of that shot word, I get hit again. And this one hit me, I didn't know, somewhere in the middle area of my body. And it dropped me like that. Looked around for my gun, couldn't see it. Looked down on my arm, and I realized that it broke my arm completely. It was completely, the bone was severed. When I couldn't crawl anymore, radio wasn't working, cavalry's on the way, and all I know is that this guy might still be in the window. And now the pain's starting to settle in. And all I thought was, I just don't want this guy to shoot me again. So I just started controlling my breathing, playing dead. I felt that pain in my, that funny feeling in my right leg, and I thought he hit my femoral artery. And if you're not familiar, you can bleed out really, really fast from that. And I couldn't communicate that to anybody. And so I lay there thinking I'm dying. And thought of my 4-year-old. My brother died when I was 18, and he had a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old, and I just didn't want them going through life that way. And I was engaged, and I didn't want my fiance, especially not even married yet, to go through all that. And so I just sat there and hoped they came in time. Whew. Anyways, the cavalry did come. I hear them doing a tactical plan, which is what you're supposed to do, and they're discussing what they're going to do. They're going to come up as a team. I can kind of hear them a little bit, and I understand what they're going to do. And all of a sudden, I hear this doop, 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 and there's these footsteps, and I feel this. Dustin, it's Scotty Nolan. Do you know who I am? Scott Nolan is now retired. He was a sergeant at the time from the Anoka Police Department. And he's a good kind of crazy. Scotty's my kind of crazy, and that's the kind of things that Scotty would do. And he ran up, risking his life, not even caring. And he quick checked me, and then he kind of half sat on me, and he just pointed his rifle right at that window. And then the rest of them came up to be part of that, and they all built a human wall between me and that window. Heroes. And I was never so excited in my life to be looking at a bunch of butts of men, blue uniforms, brown uniforms. Yeah, I was pretty happy. I got some people there. They scooped me. They went, took the ambulance. As they're assessing me, I say, "Hey, what's my blood pressure?" And they read it off, and it's, of course, a little elevated. But and I ask them all the different stats. And I'm thinking to myself, holy cow. And I'm like, how much blood is there? And they're like, there hardly any. And I was like, huh. I just survived a shooting. Wow. So get out of the hospital and head home and heal up. And that's when the true hell began. The administration at that time did a very poor job of handling the shooting. I'm very poor. If you could write a book about how not to handle a shooting, they wrote it, really. And they forget the damage they did to their own troops and did to me, and they didn't even care. So between the shooting, between what we know is cumulative PTSD, between the problems I had to deal with healing and going through court processes, and I mean, there was no charges or anything, but it was a lot to deal with. And I just got jammed under the rug. And that was all a combination as a catalyst to my years with PTSD.